Israel reportedly rigged pagers and walkie-talkies with explosives that were sent to Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon, and the results, catastrophic. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Israel reportedly rigging pagers and walkie-talkies with explosives that were sent to Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon. And as of right now, we have about 12 deceased and over 3,000 injured. Now, to all those who passed away, to all those who are injured, rest in peace, get well soon, prayers out to your family. Now, I don't understand what's going on here. Are there any rules of engagement when talking about this conflict? Can you just do stuff like that? Can you rig a pager to just go off in a crowded store with little kids around, innocent people? Is that how we fight battles? Is that how we fight wars? What's really going on? Now, of course there is video, but I can't play it. Okay. So this scene right here, you see my man with the bag on and the cap. Well, one of the bombs is going to explode. Okay. Now I'm gonna kind of go through it. You can see the chaos right there. Now you got random ladies, kids around, innocent people, just in this market trying to get some cabbage and some tomatoes and cucumbers, bananas and whatnot. And then you got a bomb that goes off. This scene repeated itself all over Lebanon. Now, there's some finger pointing going on. Some say that it is the Taiwanese that did this because they manufactured it. The Taiwanese kicked back and say, no, we didn't manufacture it. Our branding is on the pagers, but it was really some Hungarians in Budapest that actually manufactured it. So what it looks like is the Israelis contacted the Hungarians and said, hey, check it out. You got some pagers going to these guys. Let's put some bombs in it. And I think they can detonate it remotely. Now, my question is, does it have a camera inside? Are they able to see what's going on? Is it GPS? Do they know where they are? Can they strategically just pop them like, I don't know, in the market with people and innocent civilians just hanging around? Is that what we do? Is that how we engage in warfare? I don't like that. And before I get into the video, hold on, I'm gonna come back so you can see me clearly. Before I get into the news video, I just want to say this. I'm not an anti-Semitic person. I'm not an anti-Jewish person. This is nothing to do with Jewish people at all. It's about the policy of a government. It's about rules of engagement, rules of war. That's all it's about. I would criticize the Israelis the same way I would criticize the United States for having border wide open, for drugs and guns and everything else to flow in, for importing 20,000 Haitians onto a town of 50,000 people. Okay, I'm going to criticize governments regardless of who they are, where they are, what color they majority are, what religion. It doesn't really matter. Israel is no exception, period. Now, before I go any further, let's get into the actual clip here. Of course, I will link to everything in the box, including that uncensored explosion video, so you can see kind of what's going on. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Well, Hezbollah says it is holding Israel responsible and vowing to retaliate after hundreds of pagers carried by members of the terror group blew up at the same time today across Lebanon. At least 8 people were killed and many more were sent to hospital. CTV's Heather Wright is here now. And Heather, take us through what happened.
Well, Sandy, Hezbollah has called this a major security breach. Thousands of people injured in what appears to have been a highly coordinated attack.
Now, here's something else. What if we all have electric cars and the components in these cars come from all over the world? How are we going to know that there are no explosives or no device in there that may act in a way that's against our best interests? There was a story in South Korea where they had CCTV cameras and they had to remove them all because the cameras were secretly recording the footage and sending it back to a server in China. So basically, they had a bunch of spy cameras all over the place that weren't spying for them. It was spying for the Chinese Communist Party. So, and then it was a thing with the Huawei phones a while back, same thing. It was sending data back to a Chinese server. So even if it's not explosives, how do we know that these components don't have spy capabilities, just things in them that we don't want? How do we know that? Let's keep on going.
Ambulances carry injured people to hospital after hundreds of pagers belonging to members of Hezbollah exploded at once this afternoon. So far, there have been more than 2,800 injuries, 200 of which are critical, Lebanon's health minister said. At least 8 people have been killed, including a young girl. Among those hurt, Iran's ambassador to Lebanon, who had, quote, slight injuries. Hezbollah operatives have reportedly used pagers to communicate for years. They are harder to track than modern cell phones, and messages are less likely to be intercepted. And while it's not clear exactly how hundreds of pagers were rigged to explode at once, some experts believe they may have been intercepted and tampered with before they even got into the hands of Hezbollah operatives.
And here, there were multiple pagers that were purchased, but the pagers themselves were compromised. And when they got into the hands of the target, there was a trigger sequence that essentially caused them all to explode at once.
Israel and Hezbollah, the Iran-backed militant group that controls large parts of southern Lebanon, have been trading cross-border attacks, which have escalated over the last year.
Listen, the fighting that's happening in this part of the country, this part of the world, it'll never cease. It's been going on since the dawn of man. They're always going to be fighting over there. It's an endless thing. It's never going to stop. I hope that it does stop. I pray that it does stop. But this has been going on for, like I said, since the beginning of man. They've been fighting in this particular part of the world.
Yesterday, Israel said it was contemplating stepping up its military campaign against the group, though today would not comment on whether it was involved in the pager attack. Hezbollah has warned Israel it will get what it calls, quote, fair punishment for this attack. Meanwhile, Israel says it is reviewing both offensive and defensive operations in the event of retaliation.
Of course, there's going to be retaliation. Of course. Like, what else is it going to be? You see this article right here. A second wave of device explosions hits Lebanon a day after pager attack, taking the lives of at least 9. Now, this is the whole thing with the walkie-talkies, because first it was the pagers, then walkie-talkies. So my question is, what else is rigged? And who's going to be in danger? Some are going to say it's justified because Hezbollah, they're a terrorist group, whatever. Okay. Well, why are little kids being injured and deleted? Why is that happening if the target is the terrorist group? What are the little kids got to do with it? You see what I'm saying? So it says at least 9 were deleted. And pardon me for using that term. I'm just trying to be friendly for YouTube. And 300 wounded. That's just from the walkie-talkie. That's the second attack. The first attack was the pagers, then the walkie-talkie. And is it a coincidence that it happened like back to back? Okay, you get this attack one day, and then the next attack the next day. So it's done in sequence, and then there might be a drone strike that goes with it. It's a whole thing that's going on. I think that's totally crazy. But let's read some of this. A Hezbollah official told the AP that walkie-talkies used by the group exploded. The official spoke on condition of anonymity, et cetera, et cetera. Lebanon's official news agency reports that solar energy systems exploded in homes in several areas of Beirut and southern Lebanon, wounding at least 1 girl. So we got solar panels blowing up, walkie-talkies, pagers. This is crazy. And again, this kind of thing could wash upon our shores. You go to your front door, it's a guy, slight Asian accent, talking about selling you solar panels. They put the panels on top of your home. You get a tax credit. And then one day, all of a sudden, boom, you got some kind of malfunction, house fire, something like this. Who's to say that it wasn't rigged to go that way for you? Who's to say that? Who's to say that they don't rig things to fail so you have to reach out to them to help? Like, I have a lawn service, right? And I felt like they planted the army worms in my yard because nobody else had them the way I had them in my community. And I take care of my property. I feel like they put the worms there so they could come out and do some kind of abatement or something like this and just get more money. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I feel. And in this case, I mean, come on, we got a serious problem. And then to the Hungarians, are you guys complicit? Are you guys trying to fight the so-called war on terror? Did you allow this kind of thing to happen? Do you have the ability in Beirut to install the explosives and to make them go off all at once in a chain reaction? Like, what's really going on there? I think there's a map. You see some of the damage here. Okay, and here's a map. So 1,850 people wounded in Beirut. 150 wounded in Bekaa, and 750 people wounded in southern Lebanon. So you have all these attacks here. All right. These are where the explosions of the pagers are happening. All right. And you can see Israel is like right there. So they're just trying to get them before they can launch any attacks to the south. It's a mess. So I guess that's a pager right there that he's touching. You see this, kind of an old school device. Yeah, it's a mess. It's really bad. But yeah, to the Israelis, to anybody that did this, I don't condone that kind of behavior at all. I don't condone that. Some are going to say it's totally fine because, again, the Hezbollah, they're terrorists and we stand with Israel. I mean, if you like the Israelis, if you like that particular government, then hats off to you. But I think this is just way too much, way too far. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your stance on the whole Israeli pager, walkie-talkie, solar panel bomb situation? Is it a mishap, misunderstanding, no conspiracy? The Israelis didn't do it. It's just, I don't know, bombs were planted in solar panels and walkie-talkies and pagers and whatnot, and they all went off at one time. Well, some went off. You had the pagers one day, walkie-talkies next day, solar panels next day. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is crazy. This is ridiculous. But again, in this part of the world, fighting has been happening since the dawn of man, and I don't see it coming to an end anytime soon, unfortunately. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.